Hi and welcome to part 3. This is my third try making this video. I keep running out of time. So I'm going to talk a little bit faster than I normally do because we only have 15 minutes per video to do this. So we're really close to the end, but there's a lot of information that I need to get to you so that you know what's going on, so you understand all the processes. Okay, so we've gotten to the point where we've rigged our mesh and we've adjusted our weights, and we're really happy with how it moves and how it responds to the slider. But right now the mesh is only rigged to the collision bones, and we need to add the normal bones to the skin cluster before we can upload it to Second Life. Even though the normal bones won't have any weights to them, you still have to have them in the DAE file, otherwise it won't upload. And I'm sure most of you probably already knew that, but it's good to know, good to repeat. Okay, so I'm going to tear off MayaStar. One thing you need to know is you can click Go to Bind Pose in MayaStar and it will go to the bind pose. You don't have to select, normally you have to select a normal bone or any bone in the skeleton and then click Go to Bind Pose either here or in the skins menu. But I wrote a little MEL script, and so I updated this little feature, this little button, so that you don't have to do that. So if you were in a different pose, you could just click Go to Bind Pose. And it will pop, because by default I have the skeleton hidden, and so you don't have to go in the outliner and select the bind pose. Okay, so we're going to add the normal bones to the skin cluster. So we're in the bind pose. It's good to have the avatar set at the default mesh when you're doing this, and you'll notice that if you click this go to default mesh, it will put you in the bind pose position as well. So alrighty. Okay, so we're going to add the normal bones to skin cluster. So all you have to do is select the avatar, not the avatar, your mesh clothing, and click normal bones select. And you'll see in the outliner, I'm holding down shift key and clicking on the plus sign, and it shows the whole skeleton all at once. Most of you probably already know that little trick, but some of you might not have known that. So if I were to deselect everything by just clicking over here and selecting the mesh clothing again and clicking normal bones select, you see that it selects just the normal bones. And the normal bones, if you don't know, are the ones that have this letter lowercase m and are all lower uppercase. The collision bones are all the ones that have no letter m in front of them, lowercase m, and are all uppercase. That's how you can tell what are the normal bones and what are the collision bones. That was decided by Linden Lab, not me, and you cannot change those names. If you have if a single bone is misspelled or doesn't have the right upper lowercase or is not right uppercase, it will not upload. So that's something to keep in mind. So we've selected our mesh, we selected our normal bones. Now you come down here to add bones to skin cluster. You do not want geometry selected. Drop off rate doesn't matter. You want the default weight to be set at 0 because we're going to lock the weights. Because fitted mesh technically is only weighted to the collision bones, and if this wasn't locked weights and you had any other thing other than 0, here when you went to add the bones, it's like you're smooth binding those bones to the mesh, and it will mess up your weights that you've worked so hard to get just right. So by locking the weights and having it at 0, it won't add any weights to the normal bones. So you click add and it adds the bones to the skin cluster. Now we're almost there. There is that glitch that I mentioned earlier about the rotations, and this is why the video takes close to 15 minutes or over 15 minutes if I don't talk really fast. So in Second Life, some of the collision bones have a rotation, and I'm going to open up the outliner. Oh, here it is, and I'm going to show you. The collision bones for the default bind position all have a rotation of 0. And I tried setting the bones to the rotations that they are in Second Life. It didn't work. I tried doing the opposite rotations. It didn't work. It's as if either when exporting the DAE file, the exporter ignores whatever the collision bone rotations are set at and says that the rotations are 0, or the Linden Labs script that they use to import ignores the information and pretends that the bones were originally at 0 rotation. So this is why you have to do this. Avastar, I believe, probably does this all automatically. I can't do that because there is no really good weight saving, built-in weight saving in Maya. The newer versions are newer, but I have an older version, so I wasn't able to write any sort of script to do this automatically. So you're stuck with doing this manually. So if you come here and you click collision bone rotations for SL, you'll notice that it goes to -10, and you'll notice that the mesh gets deformed. And a lot of people have told me about this particular issue. And it wasn't until I brought in the avatar appearance sliders that I was able to actually duplicate it, the results in Maya. Okay, so how you fix this is, this just resets the bones back to 0, is we need to, first of all, we need to save our weights. And I use a third-party plugin called Dora SkinWeight. SkinWeights is one word, there's no space between the two. And it's great. You can find it on creativecrash.com. It's free. It's a wonderful, wonderful plugin. So what you do is you select your mesh in the default bind position with the rotations at 0. You give it a name. I did it before. Another take, I did it and named it AA and A. And I hit export. And it exported the weights. Okay, so that's step 1. Step 2 is click down here to opposite rotations, and it will deform your mesh to just the opposite. You see that it goes that way, and what it does is it rotates the chest bone and all the other bones to the opposite. So chest bone in Second Life is -10, so the opposite of -10 is +10. And so I did that for all the bones that rotate, collision bones. Now we need to make a duplicate of that mesh. And we come here and we duplicate the mesh. And I'll name it duplicate. Okay, and the duplicate is not rigged. It looks like it's rigged because it's grayed out, but it's not. You can ungray it out if you want by selecting those and left mouse clicking, or is it right mouse clicking, and hold it down. I'm using a Wacom pen tablet, that's why it's not easily, well, I don't know it right off the top of my head. I think it's right mouse click, and then you just hold it down and you unlock it. Okay, now I'm going to reset the bones to normal, and you see it holds its shape. Now I'm going to hide the original. Next thing you need to do is you need to select your mesh. I can just select just the mesh, and you want to, in MayaStar, click collision bone select, normal bone select, so you select all the bones in the skeleton. And I'm going to go to smooth bind, and I'm going to bind the skin, and now it's bound, but the weights are going to be horrible, so that's why we saved the weights. You come back over and you select your mesh, you go to import. This is really super important. You need to have a way of saving your weights where you can import your weights back with vertex order. These other two of XYZ positions would not work, and UV positions might work, but vertex order will be the most accurate. It will bring in the weights exactly, and then you click. So I would select the one up here and click import DSW, and it would import the weights. And actually I'll do that now because I've already saved the weights. My only criticism of Dora weights is sometimes it takes a while for it to import all the weights, and it's probably, you probably can't get any way around it because it saves it as sort of a text file, and a text file can get kind of big if you have a lot of vertices. So, but this is an awesome, awesome third-party plugin. I highly recommend it, and now it's done. Okay, so I'm going to close that. And now you'll notice when we go to SL rotation, it goes back to normal. So if you resed it in world, it would look deformed, but as soon as you wore it, it would go back. So now we're ready to export. So let me see how much time I have left. 4 minutes. Awesome. Okay. So the next thing you want to do is we've added the normal bones to the skin cluster. We've made the duplicate. We did the rotations and saved our weights after we added the normal bones to the skin cluster. We saved our weights. We rotated our bones to the opposite direction. We've duplicated it. We've bound our duplicate to the bind post position with the bones in the bind post position. And we've saved our weights back to the normal thing. Let's go back to bind pose, which is going to deform the mesh again. And we're going to export out as a DAE file. So you come down here to export. Now I do not want the Collada DAE. I want to use the built-in Maya DAE. If the other one works for you, great, you can use it, I'm sure. But the built-in DAE file exporter built into Maya works just fine. And you name it and you export it. So that's how you export your mesh out. As soon as you wear it, it would snap into the correct position. And so that's all the basics. I do want to touch real quick. I have 3 minutes. I do want to point out something that everybody should know. I'm going to I need to show you the skeleton, so I'm going to make the visibility for the skeleton. I'm going to go here to X-ray, and you'll notice you can see the bones. These are the collision bones for the legs. This is a mistake that I feel Linden Labs did when they were setting it up. And it's understandable why they made the mistake, because they don't, as far as I know, they don't have anything like MayaStar with these editing appearance in it. They have an old version of MayaStar that Linden bought, but they don't have a version of Maya that has these sliders in it. So they were kind of flying blind when they were setting up fitted mesh. So anyway, so you come in here to the oh, not here, not these. We want the appearance sliders. Okay, come down here to legs. Come down here to where is it? No, yeah, it's legs. Where is it? Knee angle is what we want. There it is, knee angle. And if we hit apply for 100%, you'll notice that the normal bones don't change position, but the collision bones change position. There's the default. There's the normal bones. The other thing to really pay attention to is the collision bones stay straight up and down. Default straight up and down. And it's the same for going in. When they wrote the collision bones into the Avatar LAD XML file, they forgot to rotate, to write a little, to write the code to rotate the bones so that they line up with the mesh of the legs. That's why mesh pants and mesh shoes and boots, unless you have your knee at the default position, get messed up. So that's the last thing I wanted to tell you about. We have 50 seconds left. Is you need to be aware of that. There is a fix for it if Linden Lab really wants to do it. They probably won't add the code to rotate these now because it would break too much content, is what they're probably going to say. The fix to this is for Linden Lab to add 4 more collision bones that move just like these, but that rotate so that they match up with the mesh. They need to know that. So that's one way they could fix it, but they would have to add 4 more bones. It wouldn't take more than a day to set that up, and then that would fix the pant legs and the shoes. And so I hope the Linden who bought my MayaStar, Here's this.